favorites, and we know right now who their favorite is. He's got really nice hair, and although he cannot speak if he's not reading, I'll tell you that. He really can't. Justin Trudeau, and when he does, he says things like he believes China is to be admired because they're a dictatorship. But I seriously, and you would see this too, we see other leaders. Thomas Mulcair can get up and, he's got a thought process going on and he can ask the question. Justin Trudeau literally cannot, I don't think he could say, "Good morning, everyone," if he wasn't reading it. It's quite something to behold.
Our self-proclaimed feminist Prime Minister has put a number of earnest, well-intentioned, but inexperienced young female ministers into senior roles where they become political roadkill. As a female politician myself, it angers me when I see what the Prime Minister has done with his cabinet and those with immense professional potential. These are young people, these are people in his caucus with huge potential with the Liberal caucus, and they're being put in these positions just to benefit his cynical feminist brand.
No, okay. Well, Candice Bergen, I definitely don't agree with, but I respect Chantal. Anyway, but I don't agree with this. I think that first of all, some of Mr. Trudeau's strongest performers are also rookies, and they're also in cabinet. And I'm thinking of Catherine McKenna, Jane Philpott, and especially Chrystia Freeland. The women ministers who have gotten into trouble are, yes, younger and less experienced, but so are a lot of people in that cabinet. And of course, Mr. Sajjan, the defense minister, was also grilled for some rookie mistakes. There have been rumblings about Kent Hare, the Veterans Affairs minister. So I'm not sure that I think it's regrettable that these young ministers have gotten themselves into trouble and have not been helped earlier. But I don't see a sexist bias in it.
Yeah. John, what do you think? Do you think there's a sexist bias in this?
No, absolutely none whatsoever. And again, I echo what Susan said. Jane Philpott negotiated a healthcare accord with the provinces. Catherine McKenna negotiated the carbon tax with the provinces. And Chrystia Freeland brought home the Canada-European Union Free Trade Agreement. These are three of the biggest accomplishments of this young government, and all under female ministers. Dominique LeBlanc, a veteran male House leader, did not perform well and had to be demoted. Bill Morneau, on the other hand, a total political rookie, is performing effectively as finance minister. The fact is that when a political party has been out of power for a long time and it comes into government, it doesn't have much experience in its backbench. So it appoints, by necessity, rookies to cabinet. Some of those rookies succeed, some of those rookies fail. That's why you have cabinet shuffles halfway through the mandate, and I suspect we'll see one later this summer. But this is just par for the course with any new government. It has nothing to do with the gender of the cabinet ministers involved.
Katie, what do you make of the allegations?
Yeah, I wish I could disagree with Susan or John just to liven up this panel. But no, this honestly to me feels like a narrative searching for a situation to wrap it around. I mean, journalists and, opposition members and pretty much everyone who isn't in government, we love any story that suggests hypocrisy. So this idea of, it's 2015 Prime Minister and his gender parity cabinet actually being, sexism in disguise, it's irresistible, but that doesn't actually make it true. And as both of my colleagues have pointed out, really aptly, I think, in these cases, there are as many women who are excelling as there are men who aren't. I'd also point out that when Marianne Monsef was first appointed to electoral reform, it was seen as being a major hurrah. Like, she was seen as being someone who had this sort of storybook history coming into politics. And this file was seen as one that, at the time, as amazingly as it may seem, was seen as something that could be, really a triumph. This was going to be the Trudeau government keeping a big promise. No one knew, much less the Prime Minister, how terribly, terribly wrong it was going to go. That's one of those things that you can't really anticipate. But I don't think she was put in there as sort of a cunning plot to eventually dash the hopes of all those proportional representation advocates out there. That's just kind of how it happened.
Do any of you think that the accusation itself is a manifestation of sexism?
I think it's a manifestation of great hypocrisy, especially coming from Candice Bergen, especially coming from, you know, as a member of a former government led by Stephen Harper, in which I would argue most of the women were given very secondary roles. Ronna Ambrose became virtually invisible
Speaking of
during the
roadkill,
Harper
when
years.
she was environment minister, right?
I'm sorry?
Speaking of roadkill,
yes, exactly.
when she was environment
and then
minister.
she was health minister, and they didn't really care about health. And then Leona Aglukak also. No, he put his, you know, he had fewer to choose from, but he put, all the sort of key political posts went to men, and the women got the secondary posts. And if the health is a big issue, but during the Harper period, the withdrawal of the federal government from a leadership role in that, and so the minister was Ronna Ambrose at a certain point. And then we saw subsequently how effective, how bright, and how good she was when she became the interim leader. So I don't think they're in any position to lecture Trudeau about this. Lots of other things, maybe.
The truth is that in any government, provincial or federal, you generally have 3 or 4 cabinet ministers who are genuinely effective and who are given a great deal of responsibility. Say Tony Clement, Jim Flaherty, Jim Prentice, John Baird in the Harper governments. And in this government, it's Bill Morneau, it's Ralph Goodale, it's Chrystia Freeland, it's Catherine McKenna, and it's Jane Philpott. And these are the core ministers, and you're going to see Mr. Trudeau relying on them more and more as the years progress, and others will no doubt come up as well. But in any system of government now, the Prime Minister's office is so powerful, and the Privy Council office is so powerful, that apart from the small cabal of ministers who the Prime Minister really trusts, all the members of Cabinet are essentially junior officials who take their marching orders from the centre.
Katie, you were going to say?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sitting here marveling at how much I agree with John on this issue. I don't think I've ever been so in line with his opinion on anything before, but there you go.
I'm sorry.
May I-